So we need to use the quadratic formula to solve. So A equals 1, B equals 8, C equals 2. The formula is negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. You know, I like to take care of that part first. So square root of 64 minus 8 is the square root of 56. Then I'm going to tree it. 228, 214, 27. My doubles are 2. And then I'm left with 14. So the square root of 56 is 2 rad 14. So all of that turned into that. Now I'm going to bring over this. So we have negative 8 plus or minus 2 rad 14. 2 times 1 is 2. They all divide by 2. So my answer is really negative 4 plus or minus rad 14. Okay? It's asking what is the product. Product means multiply. So this reminds me of last chapter. And I just multiply. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 2i is 14i. 7 minus 14i. I'm sorry, 7 times negative 2i is negative 14i. And 2i times negative 2i is negative 4i squared. Those cancel. Remember, I squared is negative 1 times a negative 4 is really positive 4. So I have 49 plus 4, 53. Okay? Write the quadratic equation. So it's either going to start with y equals or f of x or something like that. The thing that's really important for me is the vertex. The vertex is 3. So if I was going to do y equals, I remember x is not a straight shooter, but I remember that the y is, and that's good enough for me, honestly. So if there's a number in front, great. If there isn't, great, but this is what makes me happy. Okay? This one's a little bit more difficult. So this time, they're instead of giving us a problem like, and say, find the zeros, and you go, oh, it's 5, oh, it's negative 3. This time they're giving you the 5 and the negative 3, and they want you to go backwards. So here's what I mean. So the zeros are at 2 and negative 3. That means 2 is the same thing as x minus 2, and negative 3 is the same thing as x plus 3. Because if I set this equal to 0, I get this. And if I set this equal to 0, I get this. Now I can box it out. X squared, 3x, negative 2x, negative 6. Those are the same. So it's really x squared plus x minus 6 equals y. Now it's saying that more than one answer could be applicable. Here's what that means. That means that there could be a 2 in front. Because if I set this equal to 0, the 2 doesn't help me get what those x's are. So that means it could actually be twice the amount, 2x squared plus 2x minus 12. It could be 3 times the amount, y equals 3x squared plus 3x minus 18. So be careful when you get a question like this that you're making sure you cover all of them, okay? All right. I'm going to change that to stretched. Let's look at the next one. Okay. So they want a possible equation for the g of x. So that means I better start writing g of x. And they're saying it's translating, let's see if I can find my pink pen, 5 units to the left. That means it's affecting this. And 2 units down. That means it's affecting that. And this is vertically stretched. So that's going to be right there. So let's start with the vertically stretched. It just says vertically stretched. So it doesn't say any value. So I just get to pick anything that would make it stretch vertically. Anything greater than 1, I'll say 17 just to be obnoxious. Okay? Now, some of us are visual learners, so I just want to show you visually, and then you'll get to see it algebraically. So if I graphed this, this would be the vertex, negative 3, negative 8. Okay? It's saying go 5 to the left. So if I took this and I went 5 this way, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. That means it's actually over here, sorry about that, left 8. And then it's saying it's actually -9, -10, down 2. So now it went left 5, and now it's going to go down 2. And so really now the vertex is at -8, -10, which means it's x plus 8 squared minus 10. So if you want to do the visual interpretation, you can definitely do that. Okay. Another way to think about it is this. Left, really it's not a straight shooter, really means right. So you go +5. And if you have +3 plus +5, that's +8. The thing about this one is it's a little bit more memorizing. This is more logical. So I don't care what you do. If you want to show me a graph on here, show work. If you want to show me algebra, you can show me that 3 plus 5 is 8. And then if you look here, 2 units down, well, that's -2, and a -8 and a -2 is -10, and that perfectly matches what I had here, okay? I don't care what you do. Just you need to either show me algebraically or graphically, okay? Use description to write this, g of x. All right, up 1. So I know there's going to be a +1 at the way end. Okay. Translating 3 to the right. Right really means left. Reflecting across the x, which is a negative, but it means it's going to be with the y. So let me put a little negative here. All right. Vertically compressed by a factor of 3/4. Well, vertically means it's on the outside. Okay. And I think that covers everything. So, oh, I didn't actually write the left. I mean the right. So my final answer is g of x equals -3/4 parentheses x minus 3 squared plus 1. Okay. The width of a rectangle, so you've got length and width. Doesn't matter which one's width. Is 4 inches less than twice the length. So the width is in math means equal. 4 inches less, whenever it's less than, it goes in the back, then twice the width. The area is 390. What is the length of the triangle? So I know to figure out the area, it's this side times this side. If I just go length times width equals 390, I'm not going to try to find my answer. So this time I go length times this equals 390. So L times 2L minus 4 equals 390. Distribute. 2L squared minus 4L equals 390. Anytime I have a squared, I want to set it equal to 0. So 2L squared minus 4L minus 390 equals 0. Too many zeros. I notice they're all even, so I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. L squared minus 2L minus 195 equals 0. Okay? Now I'm going to have to troubleshoot and find two numbers that multiply to get 195 and add to get 2. So let me, or subtract technically. So let me hold on and get a calculator. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just going to do guess and check. So I'm not going to go 195 divided by 2 because then that doesn't work. Divided by 3. 3 and 65, well, that's not going to give me 2. 195 divided by 5. I know no even numbers work because 2 doesn't work. So I get 5 and 39, too small. 195 divided by 7. 195 divided by 9. It's kind of annoying, but it's going to get you the right answer. And I just do all the odd numbers. 195 divided by 13. Oh, and I get 15. Perfect. So 13 and 15 are my numbers. So I get 13 and 15. This is where I need to be careful. Since this is negative, the bigger number is negative, that's positive. If I set this equal to 0, I get 15. If I set this equal to 0, I get negative 13, so that's not possible. That means my length, because that's my L, is 15. And does it classify? So my answer would be 15 inches. If you don't put inches, you'll lose a point. Okay? So let me repeat one more time what I did. is width is 4 less than twice the length. They told me the area. To find out area, it's length times width. But if I just did LW equals this, I'm not going to get my answer. So I replaced it by going this times this equals 390. Distributed, set it equal to 0. Saw it was even. Did some guess and check with a calculator.